Welcome to Wild and Finally Fucking Free, the show for disruptors, rebels, and revolutionaries who know they're here to change the damn world. I'm Kylie Patchett, your voice and visibility catalyst, and here we dive into unapologetic truth, magnetic messaging, and visibility that actually feels good in your body, your bones, and your business. We share the stories of the out-of-the-box, neuro-sparkly, creative, witchy wild ones, rewriting how we live, love, learn, and lead. This isn't about being louder. It's about being rooted, resonant, and regulated so you can be real, raw, and ready to roar. If you're done contorting yourself to fit the mold and you're ready to own your voice, your power, and your place in the revolution, welcome home. Let's dive in. Hello there, dear listener. This is our first guest episode for this season. Big juicy interview with the beautiful Analena Fuchs. Analena is a true sidereal human design and gene key expert and intuitive business coach, and her wisdom and to hang out with her was such a gift, and I know you will so enjoy this. So let's dive into part one. Hello, everybody. This is so exciting for me because I was just saying to our beautiful guest that this is the first interview I've done for quite a number of months. So today I am super excited because I am talking to human design extraordinaire coach, queen of opening my eyes to a different way of looking at human design, Analena Fuchs. Hello, Analena. How are you?
I love it. Thank you for this beautiful introduction. I'm so happy to be here with you, Kylie.
So good. We have got so much to talk about. So I want to dive in straight away. I want to kind of start with you, we'll get to the different lens through which we're looking at human design and talk about the differences of the charts. But I really want to hear what was your personal journey into the world of human design? Because I know you didn't start there, you were doing other forms of coaching, etc. So tell us about the golden thread that led you here.
Yeah, let me keep it because I can go on and on about this. So
go on.
No, let me start here. I went to college. I did the thing, business. I worked in corporate, in small companies, big companies, and I just never felt like that's for me. It was just but I thought there's something wrong with me, right? Or it's is this going to be so boring until retirement? I mean, that cannot be it,
Yeah, no, right. Hang on.
Exactly. And I think already 5 years after college, I started to have an interest for coaching, and especially because I moved to America. I'm originally from Germany.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of a culture shock and the food here, and I was like, what's going on? And everybody's just working and they can help people here. So it was more as a hobby at the time. And then when I really went more into it was a little bit before already, I think after my daughter was born in 2012. Yeah. And then especially after, because I went through life crisis myself, lots of challenges, really finding myself. And I first got a corporate job because I also was in a position where I had to take financially care of myself because I went through a divorce and everything. Yes. So you cannot just I have a hobby and do whatever, right? It also had to bring in money. But I started doing that last corporate job. I was there for 5 years. I really leaned into this passion of being in more contact with people because in HR, I realized there was one blessing in corporate that I love to talk to people. And I started to notice of how much impact it created when people talked to me. They came for some personal stuff because I was the HR person at the time. And they often came back and later thanked me wow, thank you so much for talking to me. And now I did this and this, wow, this is cool. And I didn't feel like I did much, So I started to take courses when I was bored in my corporate job. And eventually I got my first coaching certification. It was first health coaching. And it was the first time where I was just happy. I was so lit up, it was just fun. And I started to meet a lot of cool people because we had some events, some were online, some were in person. And then I got some more certifications and I started to share at my corporate job hey, I'm a coach now. Here's my business card. And I even gave it to my boss. That was probably a mistake, but
I love it because it led you here.
exactly. No. And eventually, I mean, long story short is I got fired from the job. I honestly wanted to quit, but I probably would have waited way too long because of safety, security reasons, right? And while it was scary at the time, I was almost exactly 7 years ago, August 2018. I was very scared, but I felt a sense of freedom and I knew this was for me. So it wasn't easy. The first 2 years, literally, I tried to find myself. I had actually a lot of trauma myself to process. So I did a lot of inner healing, child work, processing emotions. That was a huge blessing. And the whole coaching space really, really helped me a lot. It was an incredible support for me. I also did some therapy, obviously, years earlier. So it all has its place. And then in 2020, when the pandemic started, one of my friends, we also met through the coaching. She was like, hey, check this out. This is human design. Everybody in this course I'm at, they're talking about it. And something happened when I saw this body graph and it was telling me you can be multi-passionate and you're supposed to be different than everybody else. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Because I was on this journey of trying to find answers outside of myself. And I invested a lot of money that I kind of put on credit cards. That's not always a smart way. But, hey, at least I had the option to do that at the time. And it was very frustrating because nothing worked. And I was almost at the point like, am I cut for this? And it also didn't feel right because it wasn't my authentic way. I wasn't meant to create a business in a way that somebody else did. I really had to find my own way. And human design was really this access point for me where I realized I'm different. I'm meant to be different. It's good to be different. And I'm here to do things my way. So it was this next level of freedom. And then I never looked back. I found my teacher. I started with Karen Parker. I got so excited. And I right away, when something is meant for you.
Yes.
Like all the synchronicities, I got invited to summits and collaborations and podcasts. I didn't even do anything. It was just because I was so lit up and it came very easy to me. This was this other thing. Even without studying, I remembered that system or something was there. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
I started to give readings very early on. I started to share with my clients. I started to teach very quickly because I had always been a very passionate teacher. That's something that I realized already in high school, that I was really good at teaching. And it wasn't being a school teacher. It was more like human design was like, I'm here to teach that. But in my way also. I mean, at the time, I still figured that part out. But that was all in 2020. And I finally felt like, yes, I can build a business. Yes, it's getting actually more fun and joyful. And it's actually really, really helping people because I saw transformation with people from the coaching, definitely. And I was actually also very confident in being a coach already. But when human design came into the equation, I started to feel this is a no-brainer. Like you become unstoppable because it's so unique to also my client. It's no longer, there's this one way coaching process I'm going to take my client through. So it really opened my perspective also of how I approach coaching.
So cool. There's so many threads I want to pull here. I feel like when you were saying, when people were talking to me, I made them feel better. That is like the perfect, and I know you talk about genius as well. Like I talk a lot about genius. It's like the things that are naturally our gifts, they always just feel like breathing. So like that whole phrase that you just said, I'm like, yeah, because it's one of your genius. That's why it feels so easy. And I just love, like, as you said, like when I saw the body graph, I have a jukebox in my brain that plays music 24/7, according to the soundtrack of whatever I'm talking about. And I heard this like angels as you said that. So I feel like I feel like there's so much gold in using, and I also feel like sometimes human design can be used as like just another set of rules. I think that that's like a dangerous place that people can put themselves in. It's like, oh, I'm a projector, therefore I have to do this and that type of thing. But I've never understood the whole concept of one size fits all anything, whether it's coaching or business or marketing or communication or whatever. It just doesn't make sense to me, because I'm like my original training is in genetics. And I'm like, there is literally no other human on the planet, unless you're an identical twin, that has the same genetics as you. Like, there literally has never been, you is never going to be. So it never made sense to me, the one size fits all. And it's so funny when you talk about finding human design. I heard about it. I was out of the coaching space from 2011 to 17. So I feel like I missed the big surge of like the early adopters. And I know it's much older than that, but I feel like in coaching, like, it wasn't really a thing when I left coaching, and then it was really a thing when I came back. But even so, like, when I first kind of came across human design, looking at the tropical chart that most people will use, and I came up with this 3-5 generator, and some of it really resonated, but some of it really didn't. And I started to think, well, maybe I don't know myself that well. So that was kind of a dangerous thing. But I'm curious too, when you started using human design, because I hear the joy in your voice, right? It's like, it became easy. I got invited to things. I wasn't thinking about it. Like, it just all unfolded. And I feel like that is exactly what happens when you are just being you in your genius, not trying to do it any other way. So what sort of things did that kind of period show you of the ways that you'd been trying to do business before that just were never going to work for your individual energetics?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things was this confirmation that I'm here to trust myself. And I was always trying, oh, how do I have to write something so people are going to buy with marketing, or whatever process was being told you have to follow. And of course, it's also me. I was putting other people on a pedestal, or other people's processes. I was basically looking for answers outside of myself. And I always realized, and not to discount working with mentors, that was also extremely helpful, but I often had the most success when I just stopped listening to all of this and just did it my way. The mentors that really supported me the most is that helped me focus on what feels right to you. That's what I needed. I didn't need somebody to tell me, like, this is how you should do it. This is how it da 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 da. And of course, there is some expertise that I also learned also about messaging, but this is more like some technical stuff. If it doesn't feel like me, it's not going to work. It's the energy behind everything, right? And that was really the big shift. And one thing I actually want to pick upon that you mentioned, because that's I'm really, really big on. I actually just taught a whole masterclass about it just like before this conversation. So the thing with human design, it can also become sometimes limiting. Exactly. That's something I quickly realized, because I'm very much like you. This fitting into boxes has never resonated with me. Like, I naturally see things from different perspectives. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, okay, this is telling me that I'm multi-passionate. That's normal for me as a manifesting generator. That's my tropical human design.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean if you are a generator that you cannot be multi-passionate, right? But that's how it was being portrayed in the human design. So I saw actually a lot of shadows in the human design space, which, by the way, is not a bad thing, because you know from the gene keys that the gift is in the shadow. So it's good, actually.
To find it.
But I saw everywhere people having excuses, or people apologizing to me that because they're a projector, they shouldn't have reached out to me and asked me a question. And I was a little bit like, oh dear, like, that's not what it means. And, you know, people, and I think that's normal. We learn about something, and just like me, you get really excited about it. But then we easily think we know the thing, and then we start sharing it. And it's kind of like the post game.
Yes.
You know, and then people totally misunderstand it. And no, just because you're a projector doesn't mean that you have to get invited by other people to eat a salad or whatever. Reach out to a person.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually very, very impractical. Human design only teaches here about major big life decisions. And then, by the way, that applies to everybody. So I really learned that we are all of the chart, and all of the types, we all have some characteristics. And this is only something I learned through my own experiment. I learned through working with clients and really going into the depth of the system for years.
Yeah.
Because the types is just a surface level. That's what
Yes.
kind of pulls you in.
Yes.
And then what happens is this black or white thinking, I'm this, you're that. Oh, I don't have this center defined. Now I'm screwed. I wish I had this. Or one type is better than the other. That's all shadow consciousness, right? Again, it's a good thing, but that's not how we're using the system to grow and to expand and really live a life of alignment. However, when I say when we are aware of that, this shadow playing out, it helps us get in alignment because the misalignment has to happen so that we can become aware and then be more aligned.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm actually very, very bold about speaking this of how we really want to use human design, right?
Yes.
Not ever in a way to limit ourselves, not as something that's outside of yourself that's telling you what you can or cannot do. Instead, it is simply something to remind you of how amazing you are, of how unique and how different you are in a beautiful way, and to help remembering or help that you trust yourself, that you have the authority. You cannot control what other people do, but you can control how you respond in the moment. You can control the actions that you take or you don't take.
Yeah.
And you can control if you have the courage to trust yourself and do the thing, even though it doesn't make sense.
It's so funny to me, and not funny in a ha-ha way, but funny in that weird, like, human design to me is and actually I feel like we need to reverse, because for anyone who is listening that doesn't know what human design is, I'll get you to give like a little snapshot of what we're talking about. But for me, when I came across human design, it felt like such a permission slip, really, because even though I wasn't resonating with some of it, even understanding the system as a whole and the fact that there was so much individuality in every single person based on when they were born, then it was like, well, yeah, this is a map of individuality. But you said it before yourself, and I have definitely done that in my business journey as well. Like, I don't trust myself, or trusting myself actually feels scary because this wild woman inside of me, my authentic self, is telling me to do something that my fear brain is like, no. It's then externalizing. I'm going to look for an external mentor, an external this, an external that. And the thing that really attracted me when I came across you through our mutual friend, Erin, was that you weren't talking about human design in absolutes. It's like, if you are a 3-5, this is how you have to move through the world. Because I'm like, it just, again, it doesn't make sense to me. And when you understand the whole system, like, the profile lines are like up here, like they're very big, not big, but like, the macro of it, but the micro of it, there's so many different individual characteristics that impact, your flow, your energetics, your preferences, and all of those things, that those profile lines are almost like, I don't know, but I hear people saying, oh, that's because I'm a 5-1, or that's because I'm like, why do we have to?
Yeah. And I think, look, I think we have all done it, even myself, where we're like, oh, I'm this. And rather than saying something about me, I'm like, yeah, that's my 4 line. And
Yes.
I have now become more aware of it, and I really place some effort on no longer doing that, because I feel like we are over identifying with something outside of ourselves. Or it's almost like the people pleasing, where we're like, we need to justify I'm doing this because of my 1 line, rather than like, I freaking love to read and study.
Great. Like,
Rather
why?
than like, yeah, because of my 1 line. So it's more in the healthy way for me. It's like, okay, let's say the 1 line energy, I love to read and study.
Yes.
And I need my alone time in relationships.
Yes. Yes.
And I learn about the 1 line, and I'm realizing, oh, that's actually normal. And without this knowledge, I would have tried to fix that about myself, or would have told myself like I shouldn't do that, right?
Yeah. I feel like the whole system is about, I'm often talking to clients, and my favorite thing to say is like, surrender to your magnificence. No one else's. There's no external. Surrender to your magnificence. And I feel like it's the same flavor of what we're talking about as well. It's like, this system can be a system of self-understanding, self-awareness, self-mastery, maybe if you use that language. And also it is really about coming back to who you are underneath the conditioning of everything. Before we go
Yeah.
too deep down the rabbit hole, though, I do want to like zoom out and just mindful that not everyone on the planet has heard of human design.
Yeah.
So can you give us a little, like, how would you introduce someone, a complete newbie at like a 10-year-old level, to what human design is?
Yeah, so in a very simple way, human design is a little bit of a personality tool, even though often people say it's not what it is, that helps you understand yourself better. It helps you understand how we're meant to flow through the world, how we manifest with the most ease. And most importantly, it reminds you of how unique and wonderful you are. And now, where's human design coming from? It's a synthesis of lots of other modalities or ancient wisdom like Kabbalah, the I Ching, which is like thousands of years ago, the Hindu chakra system, astrology, also quantum physics. So what I really love, it blends the spiritual world and the science. So for me, it's a holistic thing because it blends the more feminine and the masculine into one, you know? And yeah, so that's how I would describe it. And it really helps you understand yourself better. And with that, give yourself permission. You mentioned a permission slip to be yourself and stop holding back, because by playing small, because you think you don't want to outshine other people, we're not living our purpose here, right? We're not going to serve anyone.
No. We're
And
not fulfilling we say like every single one of our purposes is supposed to be knitted together in this beautiful, collective.
yeah.
And when we hold our gifts back, we're leaving a hole in that. And we're not just ripping ourselves off, we're ripping off everybody who can benefit from that as well.
Yeah.
So good. I've actually got a quote in front of me that says, "Stop playing so small, you are the universe in ecstatic motion." So I love that you just use that. I always have I like doing calligraphy, so pick a quote to focus on. I'm interested, when you were talking before about seeing the body graph for the first time and kind of feeling like you were remembering, like that this was like it felt familiar to you. So interested in whether, because to me, human design is a lot about patterns, like the way that, because I've always been obsessively obsessed with human behavior because of trauma and trying to figure my own shit out, right? And so when I kind of started learning more about human design, and I wanted to tell the story about the two different charts and how I realized that I was over identifying. But the pattern recognition for me is like, oh my God, it is like, I wrote a book about making friends with fear through the lens of mindset, chakra, 5-element theory, and human behavior coaching, basically, like in 2015. And there was 7 what I called anti-entrepreneurs. And then I started really looking at human design. I'm like, oh my God, these are the 7 anti-entrepreneurs, the 7, but they've, 2 of the centers have been split, like from the chakras to the human design centers. And I'm like, it's all like, it's all pattern recognition, and all of these modalities, layer upon layer upon layer, like this beautiful big apple strudel that make up this big body of understanding. And I'm like, this is so cool. It's like the blueprint of us.
You shouldn't mention apple strudel to a German, because now I want one.
Well, I've never had a good apple strudel. Oh,
I have.
You've reminded me you need to give me your bread recipe too, when we're finished. So do you feel like it is partly pattern recognition? Like when you look at a new person's body graph, is that how your kind of first understanding comes from, or how does it work? I want to be inside your brain.
It's very beautiful. There's just something that happens, almost like I am accessing my highest self, my intuition, when I look at the body graph. There is just something there. Because in the very beginning, in human design, you learn this traditional knowledge, which you can read in any textbook. Oh, here, that center defined, this is what it means. This is undefined, the gates, and da 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 da. And especially what you learn about the types, it's very generalized.
Yes.
That's not going to be helpful. I mean, some stuff, yes, but that's not how you're going to really create huge transformation. It's really, every chart is so unique. And it's also, you need to talk to a person. I'm not going to just throw stuff at you and then I'm going to be like, I want to know, where are you at? So that's why I bring a lot of coaching into this, being a guide, being a listener, and then diving into some very specific elements in the chart. And I cannot tell you how I do it because it's intuitive.
Intuitive, yeah.
I'm really more sensing into the energy of the person and the situation. And it's my intention behind this session to really be of highest service to the person.
Yeah.
It's just so much magic unfolds. Like, look, I listened to an interview the other day with Madonna she had with Jay Shetty, and she was like, yeah, when I do music, I don't think. Once I start to think, it's over. And it's the same for me with human design. Once I think, forget about it. I'm seeing the most magical stuff when I'm fully in my body and I'm open to receive. I'm being a vessel for what wants to come through.
Yeah.
So it's more about what we want to teach people is how to become a vessel, how to really trust yourself, how to be open, because I don't know what wisdom is going to come through you to share with another person. That's going to be unique.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
So it's more so being open to that. So it had a lot to do with being more in our feminine energy. And then you will know, because all these things happen so magically and synchronistically, how I also attract clients or how they find me sometimes. It's not because I followed a marketing strategy. It's kind of like, yeah, I could never have planned that, Just like you and I connected.
Yeah, I know, right?
We weren't like, okay, I need to connect with somebody to get my message out there, to get on the podcast. Like, it happened because we have a mutual contact, Erin, and she trusted her intuition. She felt called to connect the two of us.
Yep.
And it has been a beautiful collaboration so far out of that, right?
Isn't it funny? I want to tell that story because I'm trying to reverse engineer because it feels like forever ago, but I had been looking more into human design through the tropical chart. I really, really resonated with, we're going top level, but the 3 line of that was like a big, like, I have had this story of myself for so many years. If I could just stick to something, I would be so much further along. And then when you understand the 3 energy, it's like, no, you're meant to, like, the way that I describe 3 energy to people is like, we need to snack on life to see what tastes good and spit out what doesn't. And often I'm breaking things in the process to learn about it, or, learn about myself, or like, oh, that's good contrast. I won't do that again. Like, that's just the way I'm meant to be moving through it. So that felt like a big permission slip, but there was other things that didn't feel right. And then I ended up having a True Sidereal Astrology reading around my birthday. Oh, no, I think it was around April. And so I don't even know how. Finally, a light bulb went on. I was like, hang on a minute. If this True Sidereal Astrology reading feels so much more resonant with who I know myself to be, particularly going into, like, I've just turned 50. So it's like, the years in wisdom, like, you're really, 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 really getting to the root of who you actually are underneath all of the stuff that you've been taught to be, right? And one night I was like, hang on a minute. If human design is based on the, like, tradition, like modern astrology is the way that I would describe it, and this True Sidereal astrology, then that means that maybe my human design chart isn't, like, hang on a minute. And I'd only just had that in my head that happened. And Erin texted me one Sunday night and was like, I think you and Analena should meet because you both talk about genius. And then I was like, what? She does different chart. Like, it was, yeah. You can't make that up. And it is a perfect example of, like, an understanding dropping in for me and then going, oh, I need to find this out. And you just appeared in my inbox. Wonderful, beautiful. Yeah, I would love to. So how many years were you, because you were initially using tropical charts exclusively, how many years-ish?
It was like 3.5 years that I was just doing the tropical. And I had heard about sidereal something from my teacher before. And I wasn't even slightly interested. I was a full body no. And that was my journey at the time. But then it was one of my clients actually that at some point in a mastermind call, she asked about, hey, I really resonate like you were sharing with True Sidereal Astrology.
Yes.
She had I think a Vedic reading or some sidereal astrology
Yes,
reading
yes.
while some training. And she was like, wow, this resonates so much. And I could sense her excitement and purity
Yeah.
for it. And I was like, hey, why don't you teach that? Because I don't know much about it. I'm not the
Yeah.
expert with sidereal or anything.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we did a little bit of share in one of the calls.
Yeah.
And there was, again, I responded and I was like, there's something there. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And I started without thinking about it, to be honest, to investigate, to look it up. And then I saw online, oh, there were already people years before me that already had that same thought that you had. And I started, we didn't have this thought. It dropped into our consciousness,
Yes,
right? It's like
exactly.
consciousness wants us to realize this.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
felt like
one
it was like a dunk, 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 like
Yeah.
knocking the top of my head, like, hello.
Exactly. So, and then I saw already lots of people did it. And then I started to also look, especially more into astrology. And I had the same experience. I looked at my True Sidereal Astrology. And wow, that was the first time ever in my life that anything with astrology really resonated.
Yes.
Because, I was doing human design and I knew that the astrology is behind it, but it was kind of more, okay, I'm an Aquarius, okay.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, well, all right, no? And then I learned actually with this True Sidereal, what does astrology really mean? Because I'm like, okay, if the newspaper is saying that I'm a Aquarius, then I would think that that means when I was born, the sun was in the sign of Aquarius up in the sky. That
You
would be
would
my
think. That would be
Yeah.
a fair assumption, Analena. Yes.
So then I learned because I, went a little bit deeper. I like to ask questions. I like
Yeah.
to be accurate. That's something since I'm a kid. If I'm a penny off, I find it,
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I'd rather pay you a penny more than when it's off. So anyways,
Yeah.
I was almost shocked because then I realized when I was born, the sun was in Capricorn. I was like, hold on, hold on, guys. Like, what do you mean? Like all these horoscopes and everything when people on YouTube talk about Pluto as Aquarius and all this kind of stuff, that's kind of not correct, or that's just what? So I first was a little bit speechless, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, man,
I still
what?
feel speechless.
Yeah, and then also because I started to talk more about it and people got very like defensive and like, no, but this is right and this is wrong and you're misinformed and I was very like, why are you getting so upset? This is what resonates with me. I'm not telling you you can do whatever you like. Luckily, I had all this awareness from my study with human design and the gene keys and the shadow work that, especially when our ego gets triggered, that is not a pretty thing, because most of us have been over-identifying with, I'm an Aquarius, I'm an Libra, and this is why I do this, and So for everybody that's listening right now, I want to explain a little bit more what is the difference between tropical astrology and true sidereal astrology. So tropical astrology, about 2,000 years ago, when they saw the sun in the sky, was at 0° Aries at the spring equinox, they fixed that. And basically saying like, okay, every year at the same time, the sun is going to be in 0° Aries. So they fixed it with the seasons that we humans also created, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, in reality, there's something called a precession of the equinoxes, where every 72 years-ish, the exact point in the sky where the sun is shifts about 1 degree. Now, like from 72 years or in our lifetime, even let's say we become 150, and it's fire happening these days, why not? It's 2 degrees shift, and I mean, who cares? That's probably, I mean, unless you're on the cusp to another sign, nobody knows, kind of,
Yeah, exactly.
But over 2,000 plus years, it's a little bit of a difference. It's about a whole sign difference, meaning that every single time when the newspaper says that the full moon is in XYZ, it's most likely in the sign before that.
For it, yeah.
If they say the full moon is in Aquarius, it's going to be in Capricorn.
Yeah.
They say it's in Capricorn, it's going to be in Sagittarius, if you look up in the sky. And there's a lot of people that, just like you, that kind of had this realization. And so the astrologer Ethan Schimenti with True Sidereal, he had one of these experiences where he was like, oh, the full moon is in Gemini. And he was, I think, in the desert somewhere in California. He looked up in the sky and was like, oh, it's a Taurus.
Yeah, that's not Gemini.
Yeah, I think that was his experience. I think he was in Death Valley. That's what it was. So, and many other people had the same experiences. And where you have this like shock and you're like, oh my God, I was blindly following something, but I never even thought about actually looking up in the sky, because we have now, of course, we have telescopes, but we also have a lot of apps you can download for free. You can actually go back to when you were born, see what the sky actually looked like. On top of it, in tropical astrology, we have these 12 signs, even 30 degree. Yeah. It's very convenient, very easy.
Very convenient.
Yeah. The way that nature looks like is that the signs or the constellations are actually very different in size. So, for example, Pisces is huge. Virgo, I think, is one of the biggest. Aries is very small. And there's also a 13th sign, which is called a Fika. And I love that because I think if you look back in history, also with Jesus, there's something with the number 13, right? And it's also funny because so in my tropical chart, my conscious sun was the 13. And there was something like, it's just kind of felt exciting to me. And also the Ufikas energy in general is about this whole rebirth process, right? Kind of where the caterpillar turns into that butterfly. So we were missing that in the old zodiac, was just the 12 signs.
Yeah.
And I'm not an expert, honestly, the astrology science per se, but it's just all made so much more sense to me. And it was more fitting because everything with human design and whatever tool you're using is, for me, always to bring you back to your own nature. And we are part of nature. And I think the more we are connected with Mother Nature, the earth and the sky and the heavens and everything, that's our surest path to align with our own nature, and also to be more connected with my intuition. Because the way that I now see in my little Analena logic mind.
And the logic, I like that.
The
trademark that. And the logic.
So that tropical is bent.
Yes.
The way that the planets are in correlation to each other is correct in terms of like opposition and trines and all of this stuff, right?
Okay, that was one of my questions. Okay, good. Yes, I get that.
That looks the same. So it's not like tropical is completely off, but where it is placed, each planet, that is shifted, that is tilted. So
yes,
for me, it's like, and it's too much in the future, right? It's like, if we are in reality in Aries,
yes,
the tropical is already in the next sign.
Yeah.
Right? What is it? Taurus?
I don't know. That end of the year very well.
So, for me, it's like, is this why society is so rushed? Because we're already in the future and we're never in. It's difficult to say what is.
Always pushing ahead.
Yeah. And I've talked about this, and now you're saying it, and we never talked about it. So I think this is something we're supposed to realize, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
And again, a lot of...
Oh, sorry. I just realized, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. I just realized also that there's 13 moons in a year as well. 13 lunar cycles in a year.
Exactly. That's something I've talked with my
cut it up into, weird. Do you want the other thing too? And I think it might have been you who said this on Instagram. And I was like, oh my goodness. Because, okay, we're 2,000 years down the track now. What in 4,000 years' time? Are we still going to say we're in Aquarius when we're actually in Libra?
Yeah.
Like
and
stop.
And that's exactly why I think we are so blessed that we are becoming aware of this now.
Yeah.
And of course, this is going to trigger the heck out of people. And I hear you. If you're listening to this right now and you've built a business on tropical, I hear you. I did the same. I had a business built on tropical human design.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking you to resonate with this. We also actually need people to work with the old system, the tropical.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. Without the tropical, there wouldn't be the awareness for the true sidereal to evolve. So we have to also learn to coexist.
Yeah.
That's also the polarities in life, right? But in 8,000 years or 10,000 years or so, it's going to be in the opposite in the sky from what it actually is. So it is not sustainable. It's not working. It's not practical. Nunca nada. So, I mean, in my world, it's just, let's go back to math.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense to me at this point.
But also, let's look at this. Like, the sky is the sky. We can't make the sky look a different. Like, as far as I know, we cannot control that yet. Thank goodness, because we'd screw it up.
Yeah.
So how can we? And you know what is so weird to me? And because I am very happy to not be with the herd. Like, that is kind of part of my nature, right? I've got a bit of.
And I guess that's where we're having.
Yeah, exactly. It's a disruptor in her. But I'm like, there's a collective consciousness thing happening here. Like, my whole Instagram feed, I used to follow a few different astrologers, different human design people, because, we all like to go, oh, that's why I'm feeling like that, or that's why my world is going to shit or whatever. But I'm like, how can we all be collectively saying that something that isn't true is true? And
well, that's how influenceable we are, right?
Yeah.
So, and look, if that helps you to be more at peace where you're at, I think it actually is great, even the tropical. And I have found also working with human design, so you can have tropical where they're saying right now that Pluto is Aquarius. It's not if you look up in the sky. It's like absolutely not, right? To justify certain things. And then other elements in the chart, 11th house energy, which is Aquarian energy, right?
Yes.
Which is more the true sidereal happening. We use that to justify that. So these energies show up in different placements in the chart oftentimes. So I don't think that we did anything wrong there as long as it's helping us. Yeah. But if you're using any system like human design, like astrology, to limit ourselves to, oh, I'm doing this because of this. Yeah. I'm doing this not because my sun sign says I cannot do this. Yeah. Or I'm missing this in the chart. So I think it's more about this. But we, at the end of the day, have all of the zodiac signs. We have all of the human design elements, the gates and the channels and the centers and the types. It's a very holistic breathing system. And there's nothing wrong with tropical because it has brought us so much wisdom. And again, the way that your birth chart looks like with the, like I was saying, with the oppositions, and if you have a trine or a sextile, like how the planets are correlated to each other.
Yes.
Because that creates a certain tension. That is exactly the same in true sidereal, right? It's just where it's at is different with its sign. And then the other thing, we already know this, even just working with tropical, we have all these different house systems. You have Placidus, whole, equal, like, now you get to decide. There's so many different variations, and there already has been regular sidereal versions, mostly from Vedic out there, but most of them, they still use the 12th degree, no, not the 12th degree, 12 sign
the
each
12 equal
degree.
Yeah.
Because some people may ask, what's the difference between sidereal and true sidereal? So for me, the true sidereal, I don't even want to say it's because of it. That was a body response. I was so drawn to it. And if I now want to justify it, it's because it's the most accurate representation of nature. So it's in a way astrology, astronomy, physics, and spirituality all in one.
Yeah. Exactly.
And this astrology now, yes, you are right. It does change your human design body graph.
Yeah. But this is where actually I'm going to go down 2 tracks. I really want to hear from you because I am often talking to, because I work mostly with clients that identify as being disruptors as well. So we're building new pathways of things. And by definition, being a disruptor or a paradigm shifter means that you are often the one that goes first, which obviously then, it has consequences potentially. So I'm interested when you came across this and you were feeling it out for yourself and that you had this body response. It's not like you're like thinking it through by the sound of it. It's like, this feels true for me. How do you then go out in the marketplace after being like reading Tropical for 3.5 years? Like, what is going through your mind as you're like, am I going to be stoned because of it? Because there is a lot of human design people that are like fully, like when I started going down the rabbit hole, I was reading different things, trying to kind of get a grip on, is there such a thing as true sidereal? And there was a lot of traditional human design people, like very triggered. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. No, and that's normal. So for me, it was kind of a beautiful evolution because before I discovered it, I already had learned from my work, especially with clients and my own experience, and really understanding the 64 gates and the gene keys in more depth, that we are really a blend of all. So I started to kind of see these types very lightly.
Yes.
I started to even the authority. We have all of the authorities, all of us. And you can argue with me, but I really felt the truth in that, right?
Yes.
And so I already started to teach some master classes about, how we are all everything and we are all here to respond. And just because you have an undefined sacral doesn't mean you have no energy. Like, so that was there. But then, of course, it was a little bit of a bold decision on my end because I was scared. I have to be honest. I was scared that, this could blow my whole business. But somehow this inner calling was stronger and I had to do it. And I think one of the things that my audience already knew is that I'm not a hyped up person. Like, I don't sell you stuff just to make a quick hit or something like this. I'm very genuine. Integrity is a huge value of mine. And I just share it with them. And somehow my audience, and they have told me this many times, I mean, some of my clients, like, I don't care what you teach. Like, I just love everything that you do.
Yes, exactly. I resonate with
So,
you.
yeah, it was more about, and they even told me that I don't even care if you teach human design or anything else. I just love how you teach, how you do it, your energy, your personality, and that was definitely very helpful. And then, of course, as I started to talk about it and share my journey, I got so much feedback, positive actually in my case. People started to reach out to me, and I had a lot of people, they were kind of hiding, I want to say.
Closet true sidereal people.
Yeah, they were feeling kind of like you felt like that they did something wrong, or they actually thanked me for talking about it because I didn't care that much. I was just like, that's what resonated with me at this point.
Yes.
I mean, human design taught me to trust myself, so here we go.
Yes, exactly. Strap myself.
I mean, I'm following my freaking sacral, and it's telling me to do true sidereal. Now you're telling me it's wrong. Well, then the system doesn't work, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode. If this episode lit a fire in your body, in your business, deep down in your bones, please take a moment to drop a rating and review so more rebels just like you can find us. And don't keep this goodness to yourself. Share it with your disruptive rebel and revolutionary friends who are ready to roar right alongside of you. Until next time, stay wild, stay unapologetic, and stay fucking free.